Hello everyone, I'd like to welcome you guys to our virtual farm tour which will feature Prairieland Dairy. We're going to go ahead and start with a short video at the beginning, and then we'll introduce the owners and operators and the families that make up Prairieland. First, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Philip Dieter. I'm the CEO of Central Star Cooperative, which is one of the member owners of Select Sires. Select Sires and Cow Manager are co-sponsoring this virtual session. We certainly will welcome question and answer at the end. We would like to have you repeat into the mic, so if you can raise your hands at the end, we certainly want to pick those questions up. It's been an honor and a privilege for myself to work closely with the Fahey operation and the Prairieland Dairy for the past 15 years of my career. They're a fun farm to work with. I think they believe in cattle and farm first, and you're gonna see some of that as they get up and present and talk about their operation. But they pride themselves in doing a quality job. Cow comfort, sustainability probably isn't something that they always think about, but it very much is part of their beliefs. Trying to reduce the carbon footprint, get more milk production and quality production out of their cows is certainly at the front side of their operation. So with that, we're going to start with a short video.
Hi, I'm Chuck Fay. This is Prairieland Dairy in Belleville, Wisconsin. I'm the fourth generation on this farm. I'm in the business with my dad and my brother. We milk 1,500 cows here. We have a double 24 parallel parlor with automatic takeoffs, individual IDs. The rolling herd average is 31 to 32,000. The average cow is given 90 to 94 pounds of milk, and our preg rate runs between 32 and 36%. On the forage side of things for the milk cows, we run about a 70-30 diet, which means 70% corn silage for us, 30% haylage. Feed mostly VMR corn silage. On the haylage side of it, we feed low lignin alfalfa, trying to make the rations as digestible and efficient as possible. We have a 864 bed pre-stall barn here. It's a cross-vent barn, built in 2014. The original dairy barn is just a regular pre-stall barn with fans overhead. That was built in 1999. We have 3 different loading sheds for our baby calves. All of our fresh baby calves go into our old dairy barn in the individual huts, and they're there until they get weaned off. Then we move them out to our other barns. They stay there when they're bred, then they come home 45 to 60 days before calving. Prairieland Dairy consists of my brother Chuck, myself, and my mom and dad, Jim and Cheryl. They're the ones that started all this years ago. Without them two, this wouldn't be here.
When I started out with my dad, we had 30 cows, and right now we're at 1,500. We were milking 200 cows, and I thought everybody was halfway comfortable. My wife said, you guys, you got bad knees. I have my bad knees. The way you're milking cows is crazy. And either we build a dairy up on the hill, or you guys need to go find a job, one of the two. I said, I don't want to do this. I said, it's too big, I'm getting too old. And she spun around and she looked at me and she said, Jim Fay, your dad gave you the opportunity to farm, you are giving the kids an opportunity to farm. So I said, okay. Case closed, so that's how we started.
2012, we built this cross-ventilated barn and we added on to the parlor. In between there, we had some small expansions where we added like 100 cows 2 different times onto our original barn. So that got us up to about 700 cows. We wanted to go a little bit bigger for the future, knowing we probably had some sons coming. And so that's why we went to this 1,300 in 2012. It just seems to be a nice fit for us. I like to think we take pride in is keeping the farm neat and clean. First off, so when people drive by, they see a nice clean farm, they're going to think they should take good care of your animal just by your presentation from the road. And I would like to think when they do come and they see how we do take care of them, then they understand cattle come first. The cows are always first on the farm. If you don't take care of them, you're in trouble.
We bed sand 2 times a week. We make sure the stalls are clean. Once the cows get up, go in, the employees rake the stalls. We have a low stream sprinkler right above the cow that sprinkles a very fine mist on them. Cow comfort is everything to us. If the cow ain't comfortable, they're not going to milk well. They're going to stand up, they're going to be lame. So we really concentrate very highly on cow comfort. For technology, we use the cow manager. Cow manager basically tells us everything we need to know about a cow. Before, we were using milk weights out of the parlor, seeing if the cows are down 10%, 20%. By the time you see that, the cow's really down and out. The cow manager, we can pick cows that are sick within 5-6 hours. It's just wonderful. We just love the system.
The cow manager system helps us to identify that sick cow before she physically looks ill. So now we can take that cow with minimal issues, deal with minimal issues, and have her back in the milk line or never leaving the milk line.
I was at a ball game one time and I was looking at my phone and I actually had to text my herdsman to have him go look at a cow because I didn't think she was doing very good. Things like that, it's super simple. They'll tell you the activity of the cow, how the cow is walking around, temperature of the cow, rumination of the cow. If you have nutrition, it can tell you how much she's eating in a day, and it's worth every penny. For our breeding program, all the cows are run through a double ObSync program. We used to have an ObSync program, but we just couldn't get good enough results that we wanted, so we went to double ObSync, and from double ObSync we shot from 24% preg rate to 32 to 36% during that time of the year.
We're doing a little bit of cover crops. Seems to be the new thing. We're trying it slowly. Seems to be working. Trying a little bit of no-till. That seems to be working. We're trying to do the best we can with the water. We really watch how much we use. Our CIP, our clean in place water from our parlor and our bulk tanks, go down to our sand separation room, and we actually reuse that water down there to clean the sand, which comes back into the dairy. So we're reusing the sand over and over and over again. So we basically don't buy any sand.
When you're in this business, you're like an NFL coach, I think. You surround yourself with good people. We have a great agronomist, a great nutritionist that we work with. That makes our life much easier, and it makes Chuck's life much easier, and it makes Mark's life much easier.
We are very blessed in the employees that we have. They're very good people. They show up. They care about what they do, and that's all I can ask for. Without those employees, you don't have much.
I think it's really cool working with my brother and my dad. Like any other else, there's differences every day, you know, but we just put our heads together and we hash out what we got to do, and, you know, I wouldn't want it any other way. It's a family, and you can't beat family working together.
We're very blessed. Chuck has a son helping us. I have 2 sons helping us, and then my mom does all the book work, which is a godsend, and my dad comes down and helps wherever he can. At the end of the day, it's very good. I wouldn't have it any other way. We're always open to anyone stopping in. I love to show it to people because we're proud of what we got. We think we've done a decent job here, and no problem showing other people, especially other farmers, because that's where we learned a lot of ideas, was talking to other people.
I hope when people look at us, they're going to want to say, wow, that is a super well-kept farm. If they come in here, I want them to look at our cows and just be in awe. These cows are our lives. Without healthy cows, we wouldn't be around, and we work very hard to sustain what we have here, and I hope they appreciate it as much as I do.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the Fahey's.
Morning. I'd like to start off, I'm Chuck Fahey. This is my brother Mark, Jim Fahey, my mom Cheryl, Mark's boy Tyler. I stand up.
Stand up, guys.
Don't be shy.
My brother
Nick.
Mark's boy Nick, and my son Dalton. This is pretty much Prairieland Dairy right here. So we are a 4th generation farm, We milk 1,500 cows. Like I said, we expanded 3 times. We have a freestall barn cross ventilation setup. Currently milking 1,500 cows. The herd breakdown on the last test, the first lactation cows. What was this, Phil?
So it's, this explains kind of the makeup of the herd. So we have roughly about 36% of the herd currently in first lactation, 28% of the herd makeup in second lactation, and 36% in third and greater.
Our milk production, rolling herd right at the last test was 31,000. Fat was 42%, protein 31, SMAC cell was 92. By lactation on last test, the first lactating cows averaged 90 pounds of milk. Second was 105. Third lactation averaged 107. Total average is 100 pounds. Somatic cell, 126,000.
Well, on the crop side of things, it shows up there, we farm about 3,300 of, probably 1,100 is owned, the rest is rented. We raise corn, alfalfa, a little bit of soybeans and some wheat. The wheat is more for, we need the straw for the diets for the pre-fresh dry cows, then we need a place to spread in the summertime. We're using some minimum tillage practices. We're a little, I'm not gonna say slow to adopt it, but we're taking our time. We're generally conventional because with the manure and our ground, it just works best. Chuck's got row shutoffs on the corn planter, you know, for every single one, and we get the same thing for the sprayer now. And we do all the conservation plans that the county asks for, and then we do a nutrient management plan. Since we're a CAFO, we have to follow all their rules. And currently, right now, we're spending a lot of money to haul manure 6-7 miles away because that's what the plans call for. So when we say we try and do things right, sometimes it's not the cheapest way to do things, but it's the right thing to do, and that's kind of where we're at right now.
The awards we've had are DFA for the fat, protein. We've had that numerous years. We received a top 5 National Corn Growers Award, what was that, 2012 or 13? Try to do as much as we can with the community, try to make them happy. We do not try hauling manure or nothing on weekends. Around, if we see neighbors having parties or something, we stay away. We're involved in our community club and volunteer time with the local churches. Our health event, how long has that been? Was that 18 months?
Yeah, so the cow manager system was installed at Prairieland Dairy in February of 2020. So we're about a year and a half into the operation with the use of the cow manager system.
And since we've used the cow manager system, our cases metritis down 26%, ketosis down 15%, retained placentas down 50%, and abortion cases down 21%. And that is no lie, folks. This system is unbelievable. Dead cows on the farm down 4%, sold cows down 9%. And the trend just keeps going down and down and down. Like the slide was saying, double outsync on the first service. Then we use cow manager to utilize all the breed repeats, and all the breeding is through Central Star. Preg rates, first lactation 42%, second lactation 37%, third and greater 25%. Current submission rate on the entire herd is 74%. Submission rates by lactation, 80%, 79% second lactation, and 72% greater lactation. Can you go a little bit in detail with that?
Yeah, I think, as we talk about submission rates, we're really talking about opportunities of getting semen into the animal with every available cycle. And again, working with Prairieland here for the last 15-ish years, reproduction has always been very good. It's been a strong point even prior to Cow Manager. And on submission, typically we try to benchmark our herds at 60 or higher, and that's an area that they've always achieved, and we're always kind of in that 60 to 65%. And so I didn't really even think that we were going to have this much of a jump from 60 to near 75%. But it's done a really good job just marrying the two systems of the double OVSync on the timed AI, the Cow Manager coming in, and the two systems really working in tandem to make sure that we make the most out of every opportunity when a cow can be inseminated.
Current days open of the herd is 103 days. 75% is at 125 days of milk, 75% pregnant at vet check. I'll go over this one too.
You bet. And so as we've kind of talked, when we get our herd into these reproductive success scenarios, we no longer need every uterus to generate a replacement for the herd. And so Prairieland Dairy, much like many herds across the U.S. now, really tries to be strategic and come up with strategies for the maximum profit out of every animal created. And so by design, we try to say we're going to take the top part of the genetics of the herd and we're going to make replacements out of just them. Then we're going to try to be as profitable out of the ones that we no longer need replacements out of, and we're going to try to maximize their value as well. And so we marry all this up into this kind of grid strategy of saying we're going to target and get sex semen into our best animals. We're going to use conventional where we see fit, and then we're going to use beef on dairy to maximize those animals for the open market.
And we had, we were getting so full in all of our heifer sheds, and it just seemed like we weren't getting anywhere. A lot of drugs being used for heifers that we really don't need. And that's one of the reasons why we started going to some of the beef. And, you know, we could do that and get rid of some of those heifers and have maybe an extra place for some of these beef so we can raise them up a little bit, 500-600 pounds and sell them. We're just kind of tinkering with that idea right now, but no, this has helped. This has worked greatly for us. So that's pretty much a scenario of our farm. And we'd like to thank everyone for coming. Would anybody got any questions or?
Yeah, we'd love to open it up for questions. If you guys can just kind of raise your hand, I'll come around with a mic.
Great presentation, thanks. Could you expand upon that dramatic decrease in fresh cow diseases, in terms of how the Cow Manager system has helped?
Yeah, so, like we said before, we always went off of milk weights, and especially the fresh pen, we would be in there every day temping the animals, and every single day we'd do 10 days straight that same animal. So you think by the time that cow, that animal gets to 10 days, how many more you got behind you? And so we went on this system, and from day 1 to day 10, you sit there and look at your phone, and you can tell, we don't have nutrition right now, but I think that's going to be in the works. It's coming, but you can tell how much she's eating. If you look at it, and so it compares herself to other cohorts. And if she's way down in eating, rumination, then you go check her. You might have to pump her with some liquid stuff, or Vocal or TriStart. But it's so much simpler. Like I said, I go to places out to eat. I'll just my wife gets mad at me, but I'll look at my phone and it'll look and tell me, You know, a cow could have been ruminating 3 hours ago and boom, she shuts off. When that brings up the alert on the phone, or you just go check that cow out. And it minimizes the drugs we use tremendously. You can catch cows, you know, 5 to 10 hours where you won't catch her until the next day maybe, or the following day, where she's really sick. So, hope that answered your question.
Well, one thing I'll expand on there is, this summer we had like 2 or 3 different events where it was really hot and high humidity for like a week straight. And we noticed a trend after about the second time. I do all the feeding, so, and he's doing a lot of the herd work. So through that hot weather, we would notice they would go down a little bit on intake. The cow manager would not show anything as far as rumination, but once it cooled down, it seemed like the intake would start to come back a little. All of a sudden, he'd get a bunch of alerts. And so what we're kind of learning a little bit on the go is we think those cows are, once they go through a week of hot, real humid weather, they maybe dropped a little bit on milk, but when they wanted to come back up, they must slug feed or something.
I think they lay down.
He would get a lot of alerts.
Because they're standing so long, you know, because they're warm. So they want to lay down, I just want to relax a little bit, you know. And I think their ruminations slow down a little bit, and they're not eating as much. Well, then they get up with milk, you know, then those 3 hours or whatever, their ruminations will be way down. Eatings will be way down. Well, if they get up to milk, what's the first thing they're going to go eat? They go in there and eat, all of a sudden, poof, the eating goes way up, and the ruminations start coming up. And you'll see that spike maybe for a day or so, or maybe 2 days. Then the cow starts, you know, cooling off. But this last summer was nonsense. I mean, how hot it was, and especially the last couple of weeks, you know, you'd have cool weather, hot weather, cool weather. So it's a learning process. You really gotta, you know, I got thrown in the wolves on it, and I'm just finally being really comfortable with it. But once you get comfortable with it, it's pretty simple. Yeah.
Other questions?
Yeah, I enjoy your farm tour. That was very interesting. A lot of work done there. How many average lactations do you have? And then also, when do you decide to cull any cows, and what determines a cull cow? And then also, the other question was, what do you do for breeding? What semen company do you use, or how do you pick your bulls?
All of our bulls are mated through Strunzel Star. They have a guy come out named David Sabacher, and he's very good. He goes through all the pedigrees, I mean, everything we have, and he sets all the cows up to who they should be mated with. And that's how that is. You want to?
Yeah, the one thing when David comes out, we always talk about is after every time you guys get new proofs, we kind of go over it. And I always tell them we keep things real simple. She's got to be able to walk, because we have a fair amount of walking in the system. So she's got a good feet and legs. She's got to have good locomotion. If she can't walk good, we got trouble. And secondly, we have to have a square udder for the parallel parlor that dips down just a little bit in the front, because it's so much easier to attach the units properly. And like anything else, if you can't get that unit attached right, you're just going to have trouble. So for what we want for breeding is real simple. She's getting, you know, everybody can get good production out of them, but we need animals that can walk real good and have good square udders, and from there we're pretty easy going on what we need. But those are the two things that we just, and I know David told me last time we have to be careful, because he didn't want the cows to get too straight-legged in the back. We were getting a little bit that way with some of the bulls. So I mean, we just watch little things like that. He's very good at what he does, and we kind of know what we want, so it's generally pretty straightforward.
On the cull cows, our average lactation, I think, is 5 years, and we breed, if the cow isn't bred, we give them 3 chances. If they're not bred for three times, we throw them on the do not breed list. And so when David mates these, and we know how many heifers we need a month coming in, I got a list sitting in front of me, that do not breed cows. So that's how we call them. If I see they got a little, limp going on, or they stifle a little bit, they're gone because they're not making me any much money. That cow that's stifled, maybe she's given 70 pounds, but she could have been given 90, 100 pounds. And I got ones waiting in the wings, trying to come in. So, hope that answers your questions. Did you have another question too? Okay.
Other questions?
We're good.
Hi, I was wondering, did you see an increase in milk production from now since you had installed Cow Manager?
I haven't really seen much of a increase. I heard health-wise, very much of an increase.
Okay, that's where the big benefit is then, it
Yes.
sounds like. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, and part of it too is we're pushing for a higher forage diet. We've been trending that way the last year and a half, 2 years. And so we're trying to just feed them more of our own homegrown forages rather than buying any byproducts. So the fact that we were able to hold and maybe gain a little bit, I've been very happy with that, because there again, it's helping the herd, overall herd health too. And so I think it certainly has helped us. It's just the production hasn't come up that much. And quite honestly, moving forward, we're limited through our milk processor on how much we can move up. So at this point, it's let's try and make that much milk, but make it on our own feed rather than buying it, because that's where our profit's going to be.
I'd maybe just add too, I think part of our design is if we can get animals to freshen in well, they're going to breed well, they're going to have a tight lactation, they're more apt to freshen in well, to breed well, and the system starts feeding itself over and over. One of the things kind of newer to the system that we're talking about here with Cow Manager on the operation, Prairieland Dairy was one of the first herds in the U.S. where we've now started working with transition features, which uses some machine learning in the dry period, and really starting to try to use machine learning to predict weeks ahead of calving which cows are going to be the most susceptible to have illness post-fresh. And so we then target some of those animals with some probiotics and minimally invasive approaches, but that's some of the results that you guys are seeing on the health slides here today, is never let those animals have health events. And if we can target weeks ahead and have that type of insight compared to others in the cohorts, that's really impactful. It's many times those are invisible cows on the dairy. We don't pay enough attention to the cows that are in the dry period and the close-up, but those cows eating, rumination, lying time, all of those things are as important to those cows as any on the operation.
And even if you had the Cow Manager into your fresh cows, and that's it, the first 14, 15 days, 10, 14 days are the most important, I think, of that cow's lactation. Because that's going to set that cow off for her whole lactation. If she's struggling with metritis, retained placentas, she has a DA, that's just going to bring her down a little bit for that whole lactation. So, I mean, granted, you don't have to do the whole herd. That's how we started, is we just did the fresh cows. And I fell in love with it so much that we just dove right into it. And don't know if the payroll lady liked it, but we gave all of them, we went and tagged everybody. So.
Other questions for the phase? Yeah.
I can talk loud, but Chuck and Mark, could you talk about how you made the decision to adapt this particular management system and the ease or how it was integrated into your operation and the kind of support people that help you with it?
Well, Phil was a pretty smooth talker. He kind of coaxed me into it. But no, he showed me some data on it. And like I said earlier, that we looked at it, and I was hemming and hawing and didn't know what I wanted to do. And he said, try your fresh cows. Just put some in some fresh cows and try it. So we did that, and we added a little bit more. I think we had a little more then. Then we just went crazy and did the whole herd. But Central Star is really amazing. They really treated us well. We needed something. I need more tags. It's there. I mean, Phil and Trevor and the whole group are just phenomenal to work with. They help you out anytime. I can call Phil, I can call Trevor. They can just walk me through anything. And the system is user-friendly. It's really fun to have.
I think if I can maybe just expand on that, Chuck, just a little bit, appreciate the kind words. The Fahey's use Dairy Comp, which tends to integrate with Cow Manager. It integrates with their parlor, and so it married well with, you know, what the systems they already had in place on their farm as well. So having all of those systems integrating and talking together in real time definitely helps that learning curve. The tags that you see on the slide up here, the little orange year tag, they transmit every 15 minutes as well, and you're really empowering and getting every user to manage cows on their mobile. And, you know, Chuck's alluded to it a few times here, it's giving you the alerts. You're not having to spend hours a day. It's telling you, look at these cows. And when you can do all of that from a device that we all carry every day, it's nice when it's user-friendly.
And it goes in stages. It'll bring you up a yellow code, suspicious. That means that cow might be laying under the radar a little bit. But then it brings you up the red, which says very sick. Those are the ones you want to look at. You know, suspicious ones, you just kind of lay back and kind of watch a little bit. But no, the reds are ones you want to look at.
Yeah, helps you prioritize.
Yeah.
And Phil, I think something that shows you how much you use this and how important it is. Memorial Day, Friday of Memorial Day weekend this year, we're redoing our driveway. And the excavator cut the line for the internet feed. And I told him, and he just flew off the handle. Oh, now we don't have cow managers.
I wasn't happy.
I said, I'll call in right now and get it taken care of. Well, we called in, and it's, you know, Friday afternoon. They said, well, that's going to be out there Tuesday. And you would have swore the world was coming to an end because we had no information. And you couldn't believe between him and the breeder, who is excellent, how much they rely on it was quite amazing. And then once you get up and running, everybody's happy again. So I think that kind of tells you when you invest in something, when it's not there for a couple days, if you didn't miss it, then it probably isn't that important. But this got everybody's attention like right now.
And in our parlor, we have IDs, automatic milk weights. Wish I never put that in. Because with this, you don't need that stuff. I mean, you could go with plain Jane parlor, then have this system. You know, save the money on the parlor, get this. You got the same thing. Because we had the milk weights before, because that's how, back when I was by myself, well, not by myself, but when we first built the dairy, I didn't have any herdsmen, it was just me. And that fresh pen, I would go in and look at all the numbers and just kind of read off the parlor each day compared to days. That's how I would know if they were down in milk.
Trying to manage from the milk deviations.
Yes. And that was a lot of work. But, so.
Other questions from the group?
On your manure management side, you alluded to reusing all of your sand again. When you made that investment, that was a significant investment, I assume. Did you consider other options like bedding with solids and things like that? And especially with your focus on cow comfort, how did you come to this versus other options?
Sure. Well, originally, in our natural ventilated barn, which we got up to about 700 cows, now that was all sand, and we had nothing but issues getting the sand from from the channel in the middle of the barn out to our manure pit. We had all kinds of issues there. And then, every 6 months, you had all the issues of a big sand dune out in your manure pit. And so when we looked at going to the next stage, I told them, let's go with sawdust and mattresses, because I am sick of dealing with sand. It's just, if nothing else, I would dilute down the amount, because the extra manure. And he absolutely would not do that. Wouldn't budge, wouldn't even talk about it. So we said, okay, if we're doing sand, we have to change, because there's no way. We were going through in our old barn, you roughly figure about a truckload per 100 cows, roughly, a week is what we were using. And that was by no means extra. That was just kind of bare maintenance. And so we went to the sand separation system that we looked at on another farm. It's a closed system. The only fresh water that we're using is on the final rinse. It's very little. And we actually, on the video you saw where we had the M-Tech scrubbers for the parlor, well, through that system we can make chlorine dioxide. And so we actually make extra and take that down to our sand room, inject that into our water line on the final rinse to try and get the sand cleaner yet. And generally on dairy copper, I don't know, our last test was right when it was hot, we're at 126. Our previous year, we've been at about 90,000 for our cell count. But with that sand separation system, you just we figure we're getting about 99%. So we might buy, half dozen loads a year or something, It's very little, and the little bit we get out in the pit is like a silt. It's not even really sand, and the cow comfort seems nice. The sand we got's real small, and we just felt like it wasn't a good idea for us, and especially the next generation, to be hauling the equivalent of 15 loads of sand every week out onto the fields. When we did it, I just looked at the paperwork here about 6 months ago. We were cleaning out some drawers, and at that point, we figured a 7 to 7.5 year payback on that sand system. And I would guess that's probably pretty accurate, because when I looked at what the costs were and when I figured what the sand was costing us, I just went off of that, because you're going to have you had electricity and you've got some maintenance in the sand room, whereas we were having all kinds of issues in the pit trying to haul the sand out and ruining equipment in the process. Those two cancel each other out. But I think where the profit margin is the cow comfort. If we added an extra 3 to 4 months to a lactation because she's so much more comfortable, then that system probably paid for itself in 5 years, realistically. And right now we're at 10 to 11 in, and the equipment in there is real good shape. Everything's running good. We just keep it on a yearly maintenance plan. Everything seems to run pretty good. So we're real happy with it. It just, if we were going to run sand, that was the only options we had, to be honest with you. So I don't know. And the other thing we did was when we built the crossfed barn, we did not put any brisket boards or anything in. We had them in the old barn, and when we were going minimum sand, the cows always, kind of knocked their knees on them trying to get up and everything. And we said, if we're going to put a sand system in, we're going to have those stalls full. We're not going to run them low, because that was the whole point of putting it in. And he can probably allude, but we never see a swollen hock or any injuries at all. So I think at the end of the day, it was an extremely good investment. It's just a large investment.
Well, when we put the sand in, he builds up in front to almost make a brisket for him, but it's sand. The cows can move around in it a little bit. Plus, when they get up, as well as I do, they drag that sand back a little bit. So that's how we keep the stalls full, pretty much. Because when they're lay, the guy that does it, he'll jack that sand pretty high. And he's got to kind of watch it, because where the stalls bolt together, we've kind of had them rot out before, and the manufacturer said, you might want to calm your sand down a little bit, because they're taking those stalls apart. But that's what they usually do. He builds those fronts up so high that they just work the sand back. So it works out pretty good. Plus the cow's sloped a little bit then, so when she does urinate or defecates, it goes right out from the alleys.
So as you guys are starting to, get your herds reproduction at all-time levels, you're breeding a healthier herd, you're reducing antibiotics, you're increasing milk production, everything's moving in a great direction. any future opportunities that you're going to build on from all of the success and thoughts of where you take this into the future?
Just keep getting better. I mean, you're never, in my point, you're a good manager and excellent. You're always learning. I mean, I'll consider myself a good manager. Mark's a good manager. I wouldn't ever call anyone excellent because you're always learning. And this is just my point of view. I mean, you're always learning something. And the more you talk to people, these meetings, people north of here, south of here, get more ideas. You're always going to keep going and going and going. Now, on our farm, we're kind of locked to, unless we want to bring in half a county worth of dirt and build up because we're on that big hill. We're kind of locked to where we're at, but genetics are going to get better, keep getting better. How much are these cows going to milk? I mean, we can only sell so much milk, but you know, it just seems, what I know right now from this cow manager and what I knew last year, it's incredible how much you pick up, you know, and that's just 1 year. So I see us just getting, as the genetics get bigger, get more and more, you know, cows are, we average 100 pounds of cow right now. I mean, how much more can we do? You know, on the health, we just bang away, trying to get these cows healthy as possible. You know, 10 years from now, what's going to be like? You know.
Like I say, our footprint is what it is. Building on a hill is a great idea for ventilation, but expansion-wise, it kind of landlocked us. And now with the processors telling you you can do this much unless you can find somebody else goes out of business and you can find theirs, you know. So right now, I would say we just got to continue to do better on what we've got. And maybe the cropping enterprise gets bigger, or maybe we venture into something else, you know. With all that beef, maybe we get into more, as the breeding keeps going better, and if you increase on your beef, maybe you end up with some type of enterprise that way. So, no major changes right now, because the boys are young. I mean, we got an 18-year-old and two 21-year-olds, so it's not like, you know, they're terribly old yet. So, give them a little time to come in, and we'll go from there.
Some of them need a lot of time.
I have to give a little bit of a laugh here. Hopefully the younger generation will appreciate this. I never thought I'd hear the day where you guys couldn't live without the internet.
Like I say, we embrace things slowly sometimes.
With your processor, is that a pound limit or a number of cow limit and unlimited pounds?
It's a pound limit right now. I mean, they're just starting it in January, and they claim they're going to have a 6-month window and revisit it after that. So as of right now, we haven't even been told if you go over that, what the deduct's going to be. If it's going to be $2 a hundredweight, $5. No, I don't think they've completely have told us exactly yet what that deduct would be, but.
So are you at your limit yet?
Well, currently, right now, we'd be over. Just the feed is just feeding really good right now, and so at that point, depending on what the deduct is, you know, maybe we pull the inputs down a little just to stay at that level and try and be more profitable. It all depends where the milk price is at too, you know. I mean, milk jumps up to $21, $22. Even if you're losing $2, well, it'd be worth it to get that extra. Milk's at $17, you lose that $2, and you're going to be below your cost of production. So, you know, it's going to be a learning phase forever. I think most processors are probably going that direction, so I'm certainly not thinking we're the only ones. And at the end of the day, if it raises the price up to all of us a little better, it's probably a good thing.
Hello, one question. Are you using the cow manager for heat detection on heifers or of 1 year or 11 months?
Excuse me?
Are you using cow manager for heat detection on non-lactating animals or just lactating?
Right now, it's just lactating.
I can talk about. Are there any heat stress capabilities with Cow Manager? Like indications on, so competitor product, right? I mean, they have, I think SCR has some sort of algorithm for heavy respiration or is there?
Probably go to a few, Phil.
Sure. Yeah, so the question is there any heat stress or heat abatement type tools within the Cow Manager system? And the answer is yes. Those are brand new. We just launched those this summer, so we're just kind of going through our first learning curve of all that. But yes, it gives you some insights into however you'd like to sort that data, whole herd, lactation by pen, from those types of panting activities, changes in behavior like we've talked about with different lying bouts and stress bouts. So yes, we do have alerts now in there for heat abatement and heat stress.
And for all the settings, like for the rumination, you can set the parameters, right? To pretty much how you want it. Because that's how we did ours, correct?
Correct. Any other last minute questions? All right, I'd like to go ahead and wrap up then. I'd like to throw out a couple thank yous. Thank you to our sponsors again with Select Sires and Cow Manager, Dan Hagenow for the awesome video production. And help me one last time thank Prairieland Dairy and the Fahey family for giving up their time today.